What's up, everybody? My name's Parasite. Welcome back to the Jose Mourinho Challenge with Sporting. Today we won't be playing any games, but we will be preparing for a pretty big offseason. We are very close to completing our main goal here at Sporting. We got it to a semifinal of a Champions League, and we gave Liverpool a hell of a game. So I don't think it's without reason that we couldn't get to a Champions League final sooner rather than later. We just need a little bit more. I've actually recorded this episode once already, but I went on about 50 minutes long, and I felt like that was a little bit too long. I couldn't cut out a whole lot of it, at least not how I'd like to. So I think I'd end up talking about more stuff than I really needed to. I got really into the league stats, and ultimately I thought about it a little bit, and really, those aren't important. How we play against the likes of Chavez and Gil Vicente and Pacos de Ferreira isn't really going to matter compared to how we play against Liverpool and Dortmund and Leipzig and the likes. So, you just can't really compare the two. I don't see really how our league stats really are gonna should determine my moves compared to me trying to win the Champions League. I think I just need to focus almost solely on the Champions League, considering that is my main goal. Obviously, I want to win the league. I want to win the Taça de Portugal, but my sole goal from here on out is winning the Champions League. So I need to do everything possible to make that a reality. So we're going to start with the stats just for the Champions League. In terms of team detail, we're not going to look at a whole lot. Just the things that I think I might have to change for us tactically wise. See if there's anything I need to change in the league, in the Champions League tactically to give us a little bit better of a chance. So possession compared to the teams, other big teams kind of around us. Juventus pretty high. Bayern Munich, PSG 58. Teams that got to the same level we did semifinal. Liverpool 54, Man City 54, Dortmund who we beat 53, Man United 52. So that's kind of where they're at. The teams that reach the same kind of rounds we are. We are 42. So we have the ball a lot less than those guys, but we're still competing with them. So the way we're playing still seems to be working. If we go to goals, this is going to be pretty big. We scored 29 goals in 12 matches. Compared to the likes of City, who played the same amount of games as we did, they actually scored the same amount. So, goals-wise, that's not an issue for us. Obviously, we didn't score quite as many as United or Liverpool, who got to the final. They did play one game more, but I think we're right there. I don't think we really need to change anything in front of goal to really try to compete. I think we can do it the way we're set up. Expected goals, 21, so we scored, 3 more than expected? Oh, no, more than that. 8 more than expected. Wow. So we're actually pretty clinical in the Champions League. That could be a little bit worrying, considering it's so much lower expected goals compared to the likes of Liverpool. But we are pretty close to the likes of United and City, and because we're not always going to overperform our goals like that every year. So maybe not quite as encouraging as it originally looked, but I still think we're in a pretty decent spot. Cross completed the most, a little bit more than Liverpool. Clear-cut chances created. This is pretty big. 51, so same amount as Dortmund, but we played 2 more games than them. Only 2 less than City, who got to the same level, but the top 2 teams, the 2 teams that got to the final, considerably more than everyone else. I don't know. We're still there. We're still up there with the best teams in the league, so we deserve to be at this position of the competition. But I do think we just need a little bit more improvement. So other stuff, dribbles, pretty high, 135. Considering we're not using wingers, I'm sure all these teams ahead of us use wingers. So, naturally, we're not going to really have as many dribbles as everyone else. We're using 4 midfielders. We only have the wingbacks and maybe the attacking midfielder that dribbles much. So I think our dribbles are pretty decent. Possession lost. See how high we are here, because we are going a little bit higher tempo and more direct than I think most of the teams around us. So you got Barcelona, 704. They only played 8 games. Bayern Munich, 10 games, 835. Dortmund, 10 games, 873. We, 1,043 through 12 games. Whereas less than United, less than City, and less than Liverpool. So even though we're playing a much higher tempo, I guess some of it kind of does make sense considering we're on the ball a lot less than those other teams. We're going to have less chances to give it away because we're not on the ball as much. But I don't think it's significantly horrible. I think we're doing pretty well, not being too wasteful with our possession. We are turning it into quite a few goals, quite a few clear-cut chances. So I don't think anything don't see anything really wrong there. In terms of conceded, Man United 17, Leipzig 16. We got 13 in 12 games. Dortmund 12 and 10. Man City 11 and 12, and Liverpool 11 and 13. So still right up there with all the teams around us. Less than Manchester United, who made it to the final. So defensively, I don't think we're really that big of an issue either. Expected goals against, 14. So one less than expected. So, I mean, yeah, I kind of unlike the expected goals, we are playing defensively as well as we really should. And I think every other team is kind of playing in the same area as well. Like, Man United has 17 goals against, they expected 16. Liverpool was like 11, they got 11. City had 11, they got 11. So defensively, every team's about playing as they should. So we were legitimately up there with them. Clean sheets, don't really care. Not necessarily. Possession won. Fourth, 970. Considering we have such low possession, I'd like this to be a little bit higher. Because like City and the United Liverpool, they're on the ball more often than not. And they're still winning the ball back more than we are. Obviously, they're going to be more aggressive trying to win the ball back because they're trying to hold on to possession. But, I mean, winning the ball is important for us, too, to be able to hit them on the counterattack, especially trying to win the ball high up the pitch. So, this could be a little bit better, but I don't think we're in a bad position there either. Shots against, I don't know if we'll even show up here because we had played so far in the competition. 153. Compared to the likes of Liverpool, 109, so we're having a lot more shots on our goal. But, man, did Hugo Sousa just have a blinder? Because have over 50 more shots on goal than Liverpool and barely more conceded. It's kind of impressive. I think that's what I want to look at the stats. This is where I mostly want to look at the player detail. This is where we're going to need to improve the players. The tactic wise, I think we're doing all right. I think all those numbers kind of backed it up. So in terms of this average rating, let's look at that. Erling Haaland 8. He's just nuts. Sesko 7.69. Very good. Tabata 7.54. Also very good. But we only had those two players. I'd like to see more players on here. But, I mean, at least two of our attackers really stepped up in the Champions League. Headers 1, actually, Ruan up there. And Inacio 2nd. Sorloth up there, too. So, Ruan, in terms of winning the ball in the air, I mean, that's a big advantage he had over Caceres. Really why I made the deal. And he proved it. He had more headers 1 than Inacio in the same amount of games played. Possession 1. See if anyone's on there. Ruan again. Possession lost. Do we have anybody? No. Goals. It's a big one. Sesko, we saw that average rating. 10 goals in 10 appearances. Didn't quite get 15 and 11 like Haaland, but I don't think anyone's going to get 15 and 11 like Haaland. So to be that young and still get 10 goals in 10, it's pretty dang good. A goal every 81 minutes. But a little bit worrying, no one else. Sorloth not on the list. 5 or fewer goals in the Champions League, and he played pretty much the exact same amount of matches as Sesko. So that's a little bit worrying that we don't really have a second goal scorer really that's scoring quite a few goals for us. I mean, if you look at Liverpool, they basically only have Haaland as well. They don't have a second top goal scorer in here. Bayern have it too. City have Tammy, and that's it. So I don't think we're necessarily in a bad spot because of that. They do actually. Liverpool do have another goal scorer. Matteo Pessina with 7. But City don't have another one. So, Man United with 2, but a little bit lower. Only their leading goal scorer had 6 goals. Oh, no. Bruno Fernandes, 7. So their goals are spread around pretty well between Fernandes, Musiala, and Greenwood. So, yeah, even though we did score a fair few goals, I guess it came from a lot of different areas. We only had the one really good goal scorer. Curious to see how Sorloth done kind of in more of a creative role. Expected goals, wow. He got 4 expected and scored 10 goals. Yeah, that's going to be hard to reproduce. Sorloth actually had more expected goals and scored fewer than 5. How many did he actually score? 4. 4 and 12. Like to see better. Average minutes per goal. Tomas is actually up there. 3 goals and only 1 start. I'm sure he played against in the earlier stages against the weaker teams, but anything else I really care about here? Assists. Where are we at? Tabata, second most assists in the league, or in the Champions League. Salah, obviously, just a player on another level, but Tabata, actually, when I first came here, he was kind of the first player I thought I might need to improve on. And he's ended up being one of the best players in the team. An undroppable player. Aguilar doing pretty well as well with 5 assists. And how many starts did he get? 11 starts, 1 sub appearance. That's not bad. Isaac Bergman-Johansson's not on here, and he's the one playing on attack. You'd expect him to get more assists than Aguilar. Assists per 90, just Tabata. Key passes, another important attribute or stat. Tabata up there, very high as well, 46. I mean, obviously, he doesn't even compare to the likes of Bruno Fernandes and Kevin De Bruyne, but they're literally like the 2 best midfielders in the world. Salah, one of the best attackers in the world. So the fact he's so high, above the likes of Mbappe and Dybala and Alexander-Arnold, pretty good. Pedro Gonçalves is actually pretty high too. Per 90, does that change much? Nope, still just Tabata. Clear-cut chances created. Tabata again. He's had a fantastic Champions League. He's definitely not a position we need to improve on. And there's Sorloth. 9 clear-cut chances created. So, didn't score quite as many goals as I'd like to see from him. But he was a decent, part of us scoring those goals. He had created a fair number of chances. Let's see, how many assists did he get, actually? He only got 3 assists. So, not bad. 4 goals, 3 assists. Could be worse. I'd like to see him score a few more, but this is just his first year at the club. So, I'm not writing out the opportunity that he can improve on this and do even better next year. Pedro Gonçalves also 9 clear-cut chances created. Dribbles. Who's our best dribbler? Bergman-Johansson, 28. Sorloth actually up there too, 25. Aguilar. Tackles 1, actually, Bergman-Johansson's at the top. So he might not have created a lot of chances in terms of assists or key passes, but he was good defensively, apparently, which is kind of the opposite of what I expected from him. Ruan, most key headers. Don't see anyone else on here, any of our other center backs on here. Just Polina and Sorloth. No Inacio. Bergman-Johansson also up there on blocks. Clearances, also Ruan. So he actually ended up being a pretty good signing for us. I wasn't totally sure when I signed him, but he seemed to do pretty well. In terms of goalkeeping performances, Mendy conceded 2 and 9. 0.22 per 90. That is stupid. That is ridiculous. No one else really even compares. Neuer with 6 from 8. Galini with 6 from 6. Ter Stegen with 7 from 8. Courtois 7 from 6. Onana 7 from 5. So none of the goalkeepers that got on really far into the stage, other than Mendy, who got 9 appearances, but none that made it to the semifinals get on this list because they played more games than everyone else. But clean sheets, Mendy as well. So he in 9 appearances, he got 8 clean sheets. He conceded 2 goals, and that was only in 1 game. Sousa with 4 clean sheets. He conceded 11 and 11. So that's not bad for the Champions League. Like Ederson conceded 11 and 12. De Gea 13 and 10. Alisson 11 and 13. So obviously the likes of Alisson and Ederson and De Gea and Mendy, Neuer are better, but it's Hugo Sousa. They should be better. The fact that Sousa's even kind of competing with those guys is pretty impressive. Especially considering I felt like he did a really poor job in the league. Most saves held by quite a bit. So it looks like he actually had quite a bit to do as well. So the fact that he was able to, not concede that much, I'm really looking forward to see what his saves per 90 and expected goals prevented is. Conceded per 90. Yeah, we saw Mendy's 0.22. Sousa with the 1. Ederson, Ter Stegen, Alisson, Neuer all a little bit better. Expected goals conceded per 90. Not even going to show him because he's below 1.7. Yeah. I don't think there's any actual way I can actually see that. Expected goals prevented, 2.37. That's pretty good. Mendy with that 4.98, but he was just bonkers. But, better than any of the other goalkeepers around him. Alisson, 0.99. Patricio, player I actually thought of signing, but they weren't willing to let him go, 1.88. We don't see Ederson. We don't see De Gea. No, Dean Henderson's on here. But, in terms of actually being a shot stopper, it looks like he had a pretty good job. Saves per 90, 6. It's pretty high. The highest of any player that played nearly as many games seeded. Lloris, 6.22 through 9 appearances, 6.25 through 8 for Galaxy. But the likes of Ederson and all them, nowhere even close, below 5. I'm sure a lot of that is, they have a lot less shots on their goal. I think we had a few more shots on our goal than I'd like, but we did face, some of the best attacking teams in the Champions League. Expected saves per 90, below 6. So not sure exactly where he's going to be at on that, but I'm sure he stopped more than expected. Save percentage, wow, 88%. We can just write off Mendy. He was obviously stupid, but 88% save percentage from Hugo Souza. That is very high. I'm curious to see how that compares to the league. Donnarumma 80, like significantly above the likes of like Ter Stegen 78. He was very good. Expected save percentage, yeah, we're not going to see that. But yeah, I mean, I'm actually really impressed with Hugo Souza in the Champions League. We really dogged on him for really poor league performance, and I think he did do a pretty poor job in the league, which makes it kind of hard because when he plays like that in the Champions League, do you really need to replace him? I don't know. All right, if you look at the tactic, I'm going to take a few seconds based on what I just saw. Actually, no, before I go to that, let's go through each individual player that really played a big part in the Champions League. I don't see exactly what their average rating, goals, and assists were for the Champions League itself. So, Renato Storloth, 4 goals, 3 assists, and 12 appearances. 7.36 average rating, though. So, even though he wasn't getting nearly as many goals as I'd like, he still played well. So, Cesco already saw played really well. How many assists did he get? 3 assists along with 10 goals, 7.69. I don't think our front 2 needs to be changed. I don't think our front 3 needs to be changed. We saw Tabata was fantastic in the Champions League. 11 starts, 4 goals, 7 assists. So, a goal contribution a game. 7.54 average rating. Gonzalez, curious to see how he kind of played. He missed a fair few amount of games. Still ended up playing 11, making 11 starts. 2 goals, 3 assists. 7.2 average rating is pretty good. We saw he had a fair number of key passes. I'd still like to see some more goals from him, though. Still like to see more goals from him. Mateus Nunes, he missed a lot of time, actually. So he only made 7 starts. I don't think he played like almost any of the knockout games. Played all right. It's hard to really judge him based on the fact of how many games he missed. If you look at his form, yeah. Didn't play a single game against Liverpool. Didn't play a single game against Dortmund. And only played the first game against Leipzig. And it was okay. So can't really judge Nunes too harshly. Polina, 11 starts. Only 1 assist, no goals. 6.95. For a defensive midfielder, they just don't get good ratings. So I feel like that's fine. That's a solid rating for a defensive midfielder to get. He shouldn't really have many assists. I would like to see him pop up with a few more goals with his aerial ability, but he's not getting in the box a lot. So I don't see any problem with Polina. I think he's a solid defensive midfielder. Aguilar we saw was pretty creative. Quite a few assists. 5 assists, 1 goal, and 11 starts. 7.15, solid. He is a player that wants to leave, so we might not keep him around, but I don't think I'd have a problem with keeping him as our starting right back in the next season. I think he's perfectly fine. Bergman Johannesson on the other side, not nearly as many assists. 8 appearances, only 1 assist. That's international. 10 appearances, only 1 assist. Average rating not bad, 7.05. But as that wing back on attack, I definitely want to see him get quite a few more assists than that. He is still young, though. He's still got a little bit of developing to do, but I could bring in somebody to kind of compete with him, specifically for the Champions League. Because he is so young, maybe finding somebody that has big matches, that can really show up in those occasions. He doesn't have big matches or anything like that. Doesn't even have consistency. But he has been pretty consistent. Center backs, we saw Ruan was pretty good. 12 starts, no goals, 1 assist, 7.11. First center back, that's solid. So I don't have any problem with that. I think he's a definite improvement over Caceres, especially with how bad Caceres was this season. Inacio looked like wasn't quite up to standard. Did get 3 goals from 12 starts, 7.01 though. Quite a bit less. Maybe we might need to bring in another center back that can at least compete with Inacio, because Caceres ain't that dude. He didn't play much, only 3 sub appearances, didn't even get a rating, but in the league, 12 starts, 6.72. That is dreadful. And especially because he mostly played against the bad teams. So, yeah, we need a third center back, I think. Somebody that can compete with Inacio maybe in the Champions League. I'd still start Inacio for almost all the league games because he's still young, homegrown, can develop. And we saw Souza. What was his average rating? I don't think we saw what his average rating was. So 11 goals conceded in 11, 4 clean sheets, 7.13. For a goalkeeper, that's really good. Compared to a 6.92 in the league. I don't know. Souza's kind of hard spot for us. Escaio, I don't think he played a whole lot either. Only one start, 4 sub appearances. Didn't play particularly well, but as that rotational piece, he's homegrown. I want to keep him around. Vinagre, see how much he played. 2 starts, only 1 sub appearance. He wasn't on the bench very often, though. Played fine, got 1 assist. So he got the same amount of assists with 8 less starts. Maybe he should be getting more time next season. Maybe he's the guy that gets more chances ahead of Bergman Johannesson. I don't know. Johannesson's average ratings were fine, though, so it's not like I have to replace him. Like, obviously, I'd like to get the assists, but performances are kind of more important. Dyer, new player we signed, obviously also homegrown. Only 1 start, 3 sub appearances, was fine as that defensive midfielder. I think he's a solid backup option. Don't have any problems with him. Ugarte, see how he played. I don't think he played a whole lot either. He actually made quite a few starts. 4 starts, 5 sub appearances. Only 1 goal, 1 assist. 7 average rating, though. He was okay. For the amount of minutes he played, I think he did alright. I'm sure he didn't play a lot against the big teams, but we could look for another midfielder that could be kind of a game changer off the bench, because I don't think Ugarte is quite that. Bergancha is definitely not that. We'll look at his stats later, but I don't think they were that great. Nuno Santos, see how he did. Only 2 starts, 4 sub appearances, and he was dreadful. No stats, no goals or assists, and 6.55. That's not good. I don't know. Maybe bring in a midfielder that could give us an option if Tabata's not playing well. You can move Gonzalez to attacking mid and bring in an impact midfielder. Because I don't really want to drop Santos. I feel like he played really well in the league. 1 goal, 7 assists, and 21 appearances, only 14 starts, 7.35. And he's not homegrown, but he's Portuguese, homegrown in nation. I'd like to keep him around. DK, obviously was a great super sub for us in the league. How will he do in the Champions League? Didn't get a lot of opportunities. 1 start, 5 sub appearances. Only got the 1 goal. 6.93. Yeah, didn't get a whole lot of chances. And it's a lot harder to score coming on as a sub in the Champions League than it is in the league. I still think he's a solid 3rd option for us. I don't think we really need to do much at striker. Other than that, Segovia didn't really play. Bragança had a few games, I'm sure. 1 start, 4 sub appearances, was very bad. So yeah, would like to get another midfield option. I don't feel great about bringing on either Ugarte or Bragança. And Gonzalez, actually want to look how he played in the most recent games, the knockout games. Liverpool 6.4, not very good. In a game where he got the draw. 6.9 against Dortmund. He wasn't bad against Dortmund. 1 really good game. Only 1 assist. Didn't score a single goal. And against Leipzig. So he played almost every single one of these games. He was bad against Leipzig in the second leg and the first leg. So he didn't really show up. Other than that 1 Dortmund game, he didn't really show up in the knockouts against the good teams. So I definitely think I'd like to bring in somebody that can compete with him. Tomas, how much did he play? We always saw he got 3 goals. Only 1 start, 5 sub appearances, got 3 goals. Good average rating, but I'm sure a lot of those goals were not in the knockouts and against the weaker teams. So he had a solid season, though. He's a great 4th option. I mean, I feel like he'd be a little bit hard done by considering our top 3 strikers have been so good. He probably should get some more game time, but I do want to keep him around, though, because he's homegrown. And I think that's about it for players that really made much of an impact in the Champions League. All right, I'm going to take a second, go through this lineup, see where I think I need to improve for next season. I'll come back, and we'll take a close look at the team and the players and see what we're going to do this offseason. So ultimately, this is kind of what I settled on. Our front 3, I don't think we have any issues. Tabata and Sesko were fantastic. Sorloth, was a positive contributor. I think he can be even better next year. Defensive midfield, Polina and Dyer, don't have any problem with them. I think they're doing their job. Bergwijn Hansen and Vinagre, I think, are solid options. At left back, I think, could be an area we could look to improve on, but it's a pretty low priority area. But midfield, I definitely think we need a 3rd option. Gonzalez, decent season, but against the big teams, he didn't really show up. Nunez didn't really get a chance in the knockouts, so not totally sure how he's going to play, but we definitely need an impact off the bench. Big difference between us and the likes of Liverpool. Obviously, they have better top-end quality. They're paying them hundreds of millions of dollars. We don't have that kind of money, but they have world-class options off the bench. We don't quite have that, so I think we're not going to get world-class options, obviously, but just a bigger impact off the bench. I think it's going to be important for us, and Maybe even if the players like Gonzalez or maybe Nunez aren't playing well, a third option that can definitely compete and play well, has the ability to play well. Because I just don't think Ugarte is that level. I don't think he's Champions League level where he's going to be a good starter. So just a third really good option, preferably that could play both the Mazzala or the deep line playmaker roles. So a third option in midfield. Ruan, we saw, was really good. Ignacio, a little bit disappointing, but he's not a player we absolutely have to improve on, but I definitely think we need a third option. Caceres was terrible in the league this year, and if Ignacio or Ruan got injured, we'd be kind of screwed in the Champions League. So we need a third guy that can step in and play fine in the Champions League and kind of push Ignacio if he's having another down year. And finally, right back. I think if we can keep Aguilar, I don't think it's a huge area we need to improve. I think it's another pretty low priority area because he was solid. But it is a position we can improve on, and he's pretty likely to go. And if he does go, Escaio's not going to be good enough. We're going to have to get an improvement there. So that could be a pretty big option, a pretty big area we need to replace. And goalkeeper, we saw how good he was in the Champions League. The league, I think he was not nearly as good. We'll take a quick look at that in the data hub here in a sec, but he was so good in the literally like the second best goalkeeper in the Champions League. So, again, I don't know if he can reproduce it. Obviously, he was really good in the league last year, and he was really bad in the league this year. So you have that worry. But if I've filled these other options and really good goalkeepers available for a reasonable price, I'm not going to turn it down. But definitely a lower priority spot. Let's take a last quick look at the data hub. Just to kind of the important players we need to look see if kind of confirm or deny how they played compared to the league and the Champions League. First, Souza. I said he was really bad in the league, and he was. 88% save percentage in the Champions League, about 77, 78 in the league. That is significant, especially he saw a lot less shots in the league than he did in the Champions League, and he still had a lower save percentage. Didn't make many saves, but it's tough because he was so good in the Champions League. Defenders, so like our center backs, Ignacio and Ruan a pretty good spot. Ignacio actually did pretty well in the league, it looks like. But I still know we need a third option. If we look at Caceres, obviously he's not an aerial threat, but just defending I don't think was very good. I know his average rating wasn't good. Defending, very few blocks. Decent number of clearances, but the least of any of our center backs. Tackling, fullbacks really up there. Center backs all mostly in the same position. Passing, obviously, we're going a little bit more higher tempo and direct, so they're not going to have great. But Caceres' pass completion, again, is really high. But I just think he's doing a lot of safe passes, which isn't a bad thing, considering he can't pass. I think that's about it for the center backs. Finally, the midfielders. Take a really good look at them, especially how Nunez and Gonzalez played. The defensive midfielders played really well. I think they played fine. Nunez actually defensively was pretty decent, actually, in the league. Passing is never going to be great, but Pedro Gonzalez had a pretty poor pass completion, though. But he did create a lot of clear-cut chances, so he was creative. If we look here, he was, between him and Nunez, he was the more creative midfielder. He is getting farther forward. Maybe a change I could make is to move Nunez to maybe more an advanced playmaker. So he can he can use his passing a little bit more in the attacking areas. Maybe have a little bit more impact in front of goal. But Tabata and Santos, just super creative. Both really good options in the league. We saw Santos was not good in the Champions League, though. But, that gives me a little bit of hope that he can maybe turn it around. Defensively, Nunez, again, very good. Bragança did fine, but two defensive midfielders, fully great, really good. Solid. Shooting, this is really going to be where I look at Gonzalez. Better spot than he was last year. A lot more shots on target per 90. But still, expected goals per shot, pretty low. Not nearly as high as I'd like to see from a guy with 17 finishing. And then scoring. One of the best of our midfielders, but still, with his attributes, I'd still expect him to be further up here. So, better than last season, but still not nearly as good as his first season at the club. First full season here with me as manager. So, he can improve. I know he's got it in him, but we need a third option. So I think those are the positions we're going to look to improve on. We're close. We're very close. We got to a semifinal, and we gave Liverpool a hell of a game. Just maybe a few more options off the bench. Maybe players that can come in if we get injuries or if players aren't playing particularly well, that can make an impact. I think we can do pretty well. Defensively, I thought we were fine. I Attacking-wise, I thought we were fine. It's just that little extra bit of quality is what we're missing. Hopefully we can add that this transfer window. We know how hard the transfer windows really are, especially here in Portugal. So, yeah, I'll do the offseason, and I'll come back to you next episode with the first game of our 4th full season here at the club, looking to go one step further. If you made it this far, why don't you like the video, subscribe, and click the bell. The links to all my socials and my Twitch are in the description. I really appreciate all your support. Thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you next time.